Large Chainsaws, Phase 4, Backyard Tree Removal, William Hovey Smith, 2012.
I'm Hovey Smith, a backyard sportsman, and we are talking about large backyard tree removal, like that huge pecan tree behind me. Well, what we started off with is this knife, okay, and then we progressed to a little hand axe about like this. Smallest chainsaw, which we use to saw up old wood for stoves and fireplaces. And now we're getting to parts of the trunk that are, oh, say, yay big around or so. And we're needing larger chainsaws. So we have now progressed to Phase 4, big chainsaws. And what we're talking about is a Husqvarna here, and this is a model 257. And this has a cutting bar, and we have a Poulans here, which has a cutting bow. Two different styles of chainsaw to accomplish the same aim. But you use them differently and you cut with them differently, and we'll show you that as we get along. As you can see from this angle, we've already started removing a good portion of this first branch, which is the furthest one from the left. So we've got it down to just where the branch is bearing on the ground, right there. Then the tree has another branch that's now directly in front, and that branch is also bearing on the ground. And we have a third branch over to the right. Now right there at that bow, the branch is in contact with the ground. So what I'm going to do is cut that branch. And I'm going to start at the end that's projecting up to the right, and then work back and remove that branch entirely. With 2 points of support here and here, the tree should remain exactly where it is, even with that branch removed. That is, I don't have to worry about the tree rolling to one side. So we're going to make that precaution. I'm also going to undercut right there at the fork. So if the tree should start to shift and bind, the branch will still fall free. You'll notice that the end of that branch is hollow. I don't know how far that extends back toward the trunk, but cutting into hollow wood is always a little bit problematical because parts of it can shift and actually bind the saw in the cut. So we have to be a little bit cautious on how we approach that. One of the deep mysteries of chainsaw operation is, of course, getting the fuel mix right. Since these are two-cycle engines, you need to mix two-cycle oil with gasoline. And you can find little complicated things like this that supposedly give you a measuring device built in, which are about worthless. Or you can buy it in nice little containers like this, or even larger ones if you have a lot of cutting to do. What it looks like when you mix it is something like this. You see it's distinctly colored. For longest operation of your chainsaw and for longest possible life, you want to use alcohol-free gasoline. And there are a few dealers that sell it in my hometown. Well, one actually. And so I go and buy specially from them. So we're going to mix up a gallon here. And we put our clear going to say that's a gallon of gasoline. It's actually a little bit less. The expedient thing to do is just take an ordinary jigger, like this one from Alabama. You'll probably got one or two or three around. And then measure out your appropriate number of ounces. Four. And a little bit more. Now, that tells us that that's going to give us approximately a 32-to-1 mix. And actually it'll be a little stronger than that, which is okay. Within reason, it's better to add a little too much oil than too little. And the more oil you use in your mix, usually the longer your engine will last. And this is true with either outboards or chainsaw engines. So when you have it mixed, you go ahead and you shake it up good. And then you slowly pour it in your reservoir here. Okay. All right. So that looks good. And let's see what our mix looks like. Just out of curiosity. So yeah, you see it has a very definite greenish color to it. So this is a visual check that, yeah, we're about right here.
Concurrently with working on this pecan tree, I also had 4 pine trees down in my front yard. So this is some of those pine trees being burned.
We're trying to take down this side branch. I've already made a cut up here at the top and also at the bottom, but not completely through. The branch is bearing on the ground right here. So I'm going to make a cut about in here, and that will put enough strain on this to perhaps bust it loose from the main trunk. If so, then we'll have it on the ground. I'm going to cut from this side, so if this tree moves or starts to roll, or this falls and falls towards me, I'll be able to get out of the way. If I were between the branches, there's a remote chance, yeah, I could get pinned by that huge trunk there, which is over 1,000 pounds of wood. Look, so no, you want to be very cautious about where and how you cut when you start dealing with these very large pieces of heavy trees. useful for breaking off big pieces like this, so you don't want to risk pinching your saw blade between these two huge hunks of wood. So we're going to see if we can finish breaking it. Well, the wedging did not break through, and we used almost a whole reservoir of fuel to make that one cut. The blade is getting dull on this saw, but we've got new fuel in it now, and we'll see if we can get it started and resume. Something to tow with a strap like this piece of wood, it's best to take the loop and the strap and put it around the object you're towing, and then when you hook it up to your ball hitch here, take several wraps around this part of the hitch and then secure the hook to the safety ring here. You don't want to hook You do not want to attach the hook directly to the safety ring, because this puts too much pressure on it and it may pull off. But this puts most of the pressure right here where it actually needs to be. It took 3 saws that sort of halfway worked to get that cut done, but we did get it cut. So this is the one that finally did it. It's the oldest saw that a friend of Bill Krantz of mine had, and he called it old reliable. Well, guess what? The thing started. Oh, I couldn't get anything else working, but this one did. And whilst it was going, I cut that. I also cut another branch free over there, and also trimmed up some around the big base of the trunk so that the tree will fall to the ground freely. And so we did get good work done with a little saw. So now, are we going to haul this thing away? Now that we have the tree volume considerably reduced, I'll give you another walk around the tree. You can see the last limb I cut. So now there's only the trunk and 2 projecting limbs at the end, but it is still hung up high on the stump. So this I'm going to be working on to ultimately drop the whole trunk to the ground so I can rotate it and work on the other limbs. You can see the saw cut here, and I'll be removing this wood altogether, and that'll allow the trunk to fall free. Now seen from the other side, you can see the 2 limbs, and they are cut where they bear against the ground. So once I get the trunk down on the ground, I'll actually be able to rotate it and remove these limbs without them being under strain from the trunk of the tree.
I'm probably best known for my book, Backyard Deer Hunting, Converting Deer to Dunner for Pennies per Pound. Now I got others too, like crossbow hunting, also practical bow fishing, now also an e-book, extreme muzzleloading. Now, rather than continue to fight with these 5 broken and or dull chainsaws, I took this whole mess in for servicing. Now, I'm going to get back to work on removing this trunk when I have something that will actually run. Now, for more information on my books, blogs, videos, and radio show, go to www.hoviesmith.com. Good hunting and good eating from the outdoors. Goodbye and God bless.